Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Suzanne Lee. I'm here to begin these conversations that I'm going to have with some of the wonderful people that I have been meeting that I know are sharing the adventure of ascension, the process of ascension, the completion, the idealization. Who knows? Let me say that our guest today is Geoffrey West, and he is the anchor of Cosmic Vision News and the visionary consultant of Galactic Global and Inner Peace Healing. Wow, no pressure there, Geoffrey. You want to tell me a little bit about that part?
Well, the visionary consulting has been an expansion from my previous work called A Green Print for Life.
Uh-huh.
And the Green Print for Life was the idea that I'd been working on probably for most of my life. From the younger years, I was always looking at what was not working in our society. And I found myself just asking more and more questions. Why are these things the way they are, when they obviously aren't working? So I began.
Good question.
So it began with the question of just really wanting to understand why things were not working in our world. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you always got. And we never really seem to be moving forward, at least not in the way I thought the world should be moving forward. So I began putting together this document that looked at the structure of society, and I was asking myself, well, what would have to change in order to achieve the goal overall of having the kind of society that we as light workers are now beginning to envision? Now, of course, back at that time, the term light worker really was not very well known or very well embraced at that time, so it didn't exist in a manner of speaking, but there were many people acting in that capacity. So over the course of the years, ideas would come, I'd write them down, I'd write down more, and then I really got into a confusion about how to begin organizing everything. And this was still in the midst of my corporate past life and all my other jobs, going through high school, activities there, then getting into the corporate world and traveling and everything else, while still looking at everything that wasn't working. I was led ultimately to the UN-mandated University for Peace in Costa Rica, and I thought, here's a chance to force myself to collate everything that I've been working on, and I can use it to complete a thesis at the same time. So I went to the University for Peace really for the only purpose of doing a thesis to gain credibility for this work that I was calling the Green Print for Life. And as I graduated from university, I realized they aren't interested in peace. They don't, as far as I'm concerned, they really don't understand what peace is, although they think they do. And they were more focused on the business of peace. So I really had to distance myself from that kind of thinking. And I also began to realize that as the cabal, as I call this group that has taken or enslaved humanity and is destroying our planet, they had similar ideas that I was incorporating in this Green Print for Life document. And I felt that I had to stop that aspect of my work because people might begin to associate some of the stuff that I was suggesting with the cabal. And I wanted to find a way to fulfill my service, and I'd always known that I was meant to be a communicator. I know from a very young age that I was meant to be a communicator, and as it grew within me, I felt that I was being uniquely prepared to become a communicator of a very complicated message, but in a way that was hopefully as simplified as possible, and it was going to be to many people of many nationalities. My life path experiences just prepared me for that, and that is the role that I'm currently serving as anchor of Cosmic Vision News.
And that is interesting as we, the light workers, ascending ones, guinea pigs, portal openers, whatever we want to call ourselves, once we really begin doing the work, we start to realize how we have actually been being prepared for it since we were children.
Absolutely. And I can see the pattern quite clearly of all the experiences that have led me from one to the next to the corporate jobs that I've held, the opportunities to travel that I've had, the teaching of a computer reservation system to people of different nationalities. That was really the meat and potatoes training of how to communicate something difficult to people of whose first language was not English. So I was very privileged to have had that opportunity and to have traveled as a result of that opportunity to introduce me more to the souls all over the world and to have a greater sensitivity to what the souls in different countries are experiencing and what they're going through.
Well, I can see why you would be the first person to be on my little scientific experiment here of gathering different information from other people that feel at least somewhat grounded on their path, because we can't ever get too grounded because we're always detaching and letting go and detaching and letting go and letting go and letting go. However, it is really important for us to be able to communicate with other like-minded people. And the other thing that we have in common is that most of us are really using that broad brush and looking for that planetary consciousness. And thanks for the internet, because now we can do that. I mean, I can talk to people all over the world and from my living room, which is very exciting. And I have not yet asked you the question that I wanted to ask, the same question to a bunch of different people. And that question is, how are you experiencing your ascension process?
I wish I could tell you. The fact is that I don't know what I don't know. So all I can really say is that I am experiencing a wide range of challenges, a wide range of, to some degree, emotion, but to another degree, lack of emotion. So I've always been perhaps a little bit stoic in terms of the emotion that I show. It takes a lot for me, for example, to get extremely angry. I don't remember the last time that I ever got so angry that I exploded. So I've been one who has been fairly in control of my emotions, and I have begun to train myself to not give in as much to being goaded by others when they attempt to elicit a response from me. I'm becoming much more of the observer, I think. So to say that we're going through an ascension, I know that something is happening. I don't know exactly what is happening, and I'm not exactly sure where it is going to lead us, although everything in my being says that the shift is going to be something infinitely more beautiful and infinitely more great than what we have been currently experiencing. And in that sense, I'm trying to hold on to as much of that positivity as I can, even as I watch my world shaking and, in some cases, dropping away, falling apart at the seams.
Well, I think that holding on to your vision, holding on to yourself, holding on to that inner self that has been guiding you all your life, I think that's about the most important thing that we can do. Because if we get too far from ourselves, then we go into doubt, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yes.
The trick has been that our society, the three-dimensional society that is, has been taught to hang on to something for the purposes of survival. So we hang on to money, believing that we're going to need money for things in order to survive. Or we hang on to a job because we think we need that job to give us the money that we need in order to have the things we want to survive. And I guess the point that I have come to is that we can hang on to a job for the sake of it being a job, but as we expand in our awareness and in our surrender to the fact that we are all one, I find myself now in a position where I do the work that I do with the intention that a day will come when I no longer have to do it. And that's not to say that I do not enjoy doing what I'm doing. I do enjoy doing what I'm doing. But as part of the movement from three-dimensional realm to a higher fifth-dimensional realm, or wherever the ultimate goal is that we are heading, I don't want this to be my sole provision for survival. In other words, I don't want to be so attached to a job that I'm not open to expanding to other calls of service or other opportunities or other means. I want to be flexible in where I'm being called to serve, but right now this is where I'm supposed to be, but I don't want to be so attached to it that my ego depends upon me staying there, if you know what I mean. I don't want to be that attached to my ego and this job. When we have moved on to a higher society, the work that I do now will not be necessary. We will have new opportunities, new jobs, things that we haven't even contemplated yet, because our world just hasn't expanded to the point where most of us can even consider what is there. And this is why a lot of us hang on to our jobs that we're so afraid. And many don't realize that as a new world opens up, as the cabal is removed from power, as new technologies are released, they won't need to have that job any longer. So what is it that they're really attaching themselves to? We're watching our world collapse, and in that fear, they're so desperate to hang on to that job. But there isn't a need, perhaps, to hang on to that job.
Yes, I think that ability to live in the now of where we are within this moment. And so therefore, because fear is something that lives in the future. Because if we're in the midst of an event that we would perceive as fearful, everything within our bodily system is attuned to meet that challenge. And so it doesn't feel like fear at the moment. At the moment, that the exact moment that whatever that fearful thing is, we are very often feeling very high, because everything in our body has acclimated to this is the challenge. So therefore, fear almost lives totally in the future or in the past, because there are many old fears from the past. And yes, I hear that laugh. And so you want to talk a little bit about that whole releasing our past fears, because that is definitely a challenge for all of us.
I wish I could give you a tried and true formula for letting go of things that are in our past. I'm still going through a process of letting go of certain things in my past that have been there, not necessarily controlling me, but I have been aware that they are there. Now, as I mentioned a little while ago, I've never been one for getting really emotionally wound up and outwardly with my emotions. So with all the experiences, positive and negative, I've kept a lot of it stored into my body. Mm-hmm. And I've packed a lot of that energy into my spine and my upper back, where the point is that it's blocked. And I'm pretty certain that is the reason why it's blocked, because I have packed away all of these emotions, and I'm aware of it. It's one thing to be aware; it's another thing to find and connect to that one tool or that one key that allows us to magically unlock it. Now, we've been told in numerous messages that our galactic celestial families cannot do everything for us. They cannot just come in and swoosh away everything that we have going on with us, because we have to be willing to do some of the work ourselves. And to that degree, I'm aware of that also. So I'm not really necessarily looking for a magic brush to take away everything, but I'm still looking for that little key that allows me to tap in. And every soul is on a uniquely different yet equally beautiful voyage. And one soul tools that work for one soul may not necessarily work for another soul, depending upon the soul contract of the individual. So things that work for another, I might go and try them, but find that they don't work for me for whatever reason. Maybe I wasn't supposed to have that healing experience at that time. Maybe I'm not supposed to have it now. Maybe that will happen in a future moment of now. I'm not sure. So the whole collective experience has been that each soul will begin his or her process of awakening as the collective moves forward. If all of humanity were to awaken at the same time, there would be no collective learning process. Actually, there would be no individual learning process because the whole collective would have gone through the shift at the same time. Certain souls need the ability of awakening earlier so that they can be leaders, but also at the same time to practice patience with those who have yet to awaken. And those that have not yet awakened have the task of trying to be tolerant to those whom they think are crazy or out there or in a totally different world, because we are. But at the same time, to learn how to be open-minded and open-hearted enough to see what has not been working in our world and what has been holding us back from the knowing of who we truly are.
Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that, and that's totally true. And one little thing I can share with everyone who hears this is don't worry about how you're going to release your fear, because this higher light coming from the galactic center is such a high frequency that as soon as we are ready to open up our pineal gland and let that light come in, it goes into our cellular structure, into our DNA. We have the ability to heal back 12 generations, and we will have that wonderful opportunity to see our fear released in front of us and to somehow love it unconditionally, which can be quite challenging, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to that opportunity. And at the same time, I keep hoping that, no, hope isn't the right word. I want to manifest certain opportunities to heal aspects of things that have been in my past. At the same time, there are other things I would love to just have some extra help with, just to let go of them much more easily, and simply to step into that higher essence of being that we're all looking to move into at this moment of now. So,
and wouldn't it be beautiful? And maybe that is exactly what we do, is that we just let go and step into. And it sounds really simple, but haven't we seen that the truth is always the simplest thing? That it's so simple we think, oh, that can't be the truth. It's just too simple.
Well, I guess that's the purpose of each soul awakening in a scattered pattern. So for some of us who have been the way showers, perhaps some of us are finding it more difficult because we are treading the path that has not yet been trod, I guess, whichever the word may be, trod. But more and more of us have gotten to the point where there is now a path, or at least there are multiple paths now for getting to the end goal. So for one person, a certain road or a certain path or a certain tool will be beneficial for that soul. For another soul, it will be a different road, a different path, or a different tool. But ultimately, we are taking our uniquely different but equally beautiful experiences and finding a way to collate them into the collective whole awareness of oneness that the higher dimension realm is preparing us for.
Yes, I think that's really wonderful that you continually accent that our individuality is sacred. I mean, we all logged into life on planet Earth to learn individuality. And so now we can take what we've learned as an individual and contribute it to this wonderful new matrix that we're creating of our new world.
Yes.
And I think that's wonderful that you hold that in your thoughts all the time, because sometimes that can be a difficult thing to hold.
This is part of the message that I'm I feel I'm here to communicate. I know a lot of people are focused on things like individuality, but they are focused on the I. Now, in some of my presentations, I will talk about illness and wellness. And when we talk about people in terms of illness, if you were to put an apostrophe after the letter I, illness becomes isleness, space of being in I.
Yes.
So that is it's a both blessing and a curse, because as we learn individuality, which is the blessing part of it, we take it to the extreme where we're not able to apply that uniquely different, equally beautiful aspect to service to others, because we have become so focused on taking more and more as opposed to using what we've learned and put it out in a form of giving. So when we move more into wellness, we move the apostrophe to after the letter E, and it becomes wheelness. We'll do this, we'll do that. So we are moving not only from a third dimension, lower density vibration, or a space of illness, to a higher density vibration, to a space of wellness or wheelness, a space where we exist as a collective product of the sum total of our individual experiences serving Gaia and the collective whole, humanity and our galactic families.
Yes, that is beautiful. And also, something that I have focused on for quite a while, it's this progression of consciousness that you spoke of. First we learn the I, and then we get into collective consciousness, and then we get into unitary consciousness, and then we progress into planetary consciousness, and then we progress into galactic consciousness.
Yes.
And those of us that have moved into that state of unity with all humanity, which can be difficult because that means that's also the cabal. They're human too.
Yes.
And so that's also that person that we don't like, or that person that hurt our feelings, or that person that fired us, whatever. That's a big challenge. And if we can move through that, then we can get into planetary consciousness. And then everything that we do on our own clearing also clears the planet, because we are one with the planet.
Yes, for sure. I've gone through my phase of feeling anger for certain leaders whom I know to be connected to this group called the Cabal, and I would like to think that I have reached a space now where I am willing to forgive them as long as they resign their positions and disappear from the realm of control of humanity. If they're willing to do that, I'm willing to say, okay, I'm not going to seek any kind of retribution or revenge. However, if you choose to stay in your position and continue to push an agenda of enslavement, control, and fear upon humanity, there may come a time when people will have to take the next step. And hopefully it will not be any kind of violence, but if they insist on pushing it to that point, there may be some souls who have answered the call to be here to provide that service, while other light workers will be called to merely hold the energies to prevent things from getting out of control. So we don't know how each soul is going to be called to serve through this transition. In the U.S., we're witnessing several episodes now that could flare up into a potential conflict situation. And, the light workers will anchor the energy of love. There may be certain souls that are playing out remaining bits of karma that need to be played out. And we're not here to judge any experience one way or the other. We are here to observe what is being played out. The messages from our galactic celestial families have indicated that there will be no significant destruction upon Gaia from war or weapons of mass destruction. So we don't necessarily have anything to fear as far as that is concerned, but there may still be localized events relating to personal karma that still needs to be balanced out. And it's this karma that the galactic and celestial families cannot wholly interact with unless it has been by soul contracts. The galactics and celestials, as I understand it and as I believe it, they are here to primarily aid and assist Gaia and protect Gaia, but we still have certain elements of free will that provide us, some souls, with an opportunity to continue their learning as we play out the final days of what I hope will be a three-dimensional realm experience.
Yes, I've gotten similar information within my own inner probings. And there are some people that are going to need to play that game of conflict. And I know from not wanting to play the game of conflict ever, even back to Vietnam when I was a young woman, in order for us to not play the game of conflict outside of us in the outer world, we have to cease all playing of the game inside of us in our inner world. Now that is quite a challenge, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I've been noticing over the last few months things coming up within me that are not me. And I look at them, I look at these feelings, and someone might say something, and all of a sudden in my mind I'm saying something negative. And I sit there for a moment and I'm thinking, what am I saying? This is not me talking. Where is this energy coming from? And I will find certain angry energies coming up over certain situations. And again, I find myself wondering, why am I feeling this way? Because I know it's not me, and I don't want it to be me. So I have to try to observe it. I have to try to dig into it and find out, to source the energy. And I'm not particularly good at sourcing things that come up within me. I haven't mastered that technique yet of being able to go into a feeling and find out what the root cause of it is so that it can be released. There are others who do it so well, but maybe for whatever reason, maybe my soul contract has decided that I still have to hang on to this for some reason.
Well, it's interesting, from 30 years of being a psychotherapist, that of course was my job with other people and my job with myself. And after 30 years of this job of going inside and finding and healing and interacting and releasing, I have come to exactly where you are after not doing any of that, which says, just let go. You don't even have to know why, when, where, for. Just let go. And that's what I've been getting, is just let go. It's like waste material. We no longer need that, right?
Right.
And we did need it. I think we needed it to grow. What do you think? Why do you think we needed it before?
We learn who we are through the experiences of who we are not.
Ah, very good point.
So if we come from a divine creator source, or even a galactic family source, depending upon how we incarnated for our particular life path journey, if we come from a higher vibration of love and light into this lower three-dimensional realm, the journey is, of course, to know ourselves as spiritual beings having a human experience. So the path, therefore, requires us to play within the duality, within the illusion, within the negativity, and learn how to circumvent that negativity through our own free will choices back into an experience of love. So it's that experience of being who we are not, and how we adapt and receive that, and then choose to create something else that moves us further and faster into remembering who we are.
Wonderful. And that, of course, allows us to learn how to forgive ourselves.
So I don't exactly know how the edit will turn out here, but as you mentioned, a trash truck just appeared outside your house, and it's perhaps very apropos that that vehicle is there to remind us that we are here at this time to put out our trash and to let it go so that it can move on to a different space and allow us to move forward in our beingness.
Yes. And thankfully, we have the violet fire to blaze, 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 the violet fire transmuting all shadow into light light, light. So
Let's
we
feel
don't need to
that.
put it in the dump. We just transmute it, right?
Right. The cosmic dump, the
Yes,
transmutation, recycling
exactly.
plant, back to positive energy, back to love.
So here's the trash truck loud and clear, reminding us all to let go of that which no longer serves us. And thank you so much, Geoffrey. It was a great conversation. Anything you want to say in closing?
I think at this point in time, it's just very important for each individual to sit in a space of being. Whatever comes up, do your best to sit with it. There is no tried and true method. It's going to be uniquely different for each of you. And some tools will work, others will not. Be patient with yourselves, be gentle with yourselves, and simply remember the long-term goal here is to know who we are and to use that knowing in service to humanity, our planet, and our galactic families. And the goal is to create what will ultimately a better Gaia, a better humanity for all of us as a birthing star nation.
Thank you. Now, can you give whoever hears this a way that they can listen to some of these wonderful contributions you're giving, radio shows and thus?
People can find cosmicvisionnews.com on the internet. That is the website. Every week I post in my blog the show summary, and it provides a link to listen to the newscast. I also provide a show summary, and of course someone decides to ring because I forgot to turn off the phone. And that's the calling that we're all getting at
Yes.
this time, to learn how to respond to little things without being deterred, distracted, or otherwise. So you can go to the blog and get the show summary, and I can be contacted through there. Cosmic Vision News airs Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is available in the archive through blogtalkradio.com, Cosmic Vision News. But you can get that link from the blog at cosmicvisionnews.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are so happy. And I hope everybody checks in and sees everything that you have to say. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye.